welcome to yet another episode of Grind Lifestyle. I'm very excited about today's guests. We have a very old friend of mine, an entrepreneur, a boss lady, and her wonderful husband. We have Zina and Rich Wyzik. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
And since Scott didn't want to introduce the rest of us, that right there is JP. That right there is Nick Martin. I am Jesse Dugas. Thanks for joining Grind Lifestyle. To our guests, welcome.
Thank you.
Can you guys tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
My name is Rich. I currently own a landscaping business. Been in the business 25 years. I'm college educated. I have a business finance degree. Basically living day by day.
And the lady?
My name is Zina Wyzik, and I'm Rich's wife, obviously. And I just started my own business. It's called ReinventU Wellness. It's located in Coral Springs. It's inside a gym called Athletica Gym. And I am a mom of a 10-year-old little boy.
Ooh.
Very cool.
That's some fun stuff to talk about. So that's the only kid, 10-year-old son?
Yes, and I got a big story behind him as well.
Ooh, well, now's the better time than any, right? Let's hear it.
You want to come say hi? So, over here. Come here. Stay here.
What's
Say
up,
hello.
dude?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm good. So this is Blaze, and he is 10 years old. He's my one and only. And Blaze was diagnosed with autism at 3.5 years old. Blaze was born normal, like all of us. And a vaccine, the MMR shot, the second round actually triggered the autism in Blaze.
And that's like factual proof?
Oh, yeah. I have pictures and videos.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, we just got controversial right off the bat. Before we dive a little bit deeper into that, Blaze, I wanted to tell you something real quick. You see the guy doing this right now with all the tattoos on his arms and the shaved head? That's my buddy Nick. Did you realize that you're taller than him?
Yes.
Oh, man.
That's amazing.
You may have the best name.
There's Nick right there. Yeah, it's funny because a couple of weeks ago I was talking to Scott, and Scott was being chauffeured around by a guy named Blaze. And we thought it was the coolest thing that Scott knows two Blazes.
Yeah.
Different spellings, but same name. Yes.
I think it's pretty cool that Blaze is watching The Price is Right back in the background.
Yes, he loves The Price is Right.
Yeah,
Anything that spins.
Yeah, my kiddos, like they
show.
go over to Grandpa's house and they spend an hour every morning watching Price is Right. My 2-year-old's like, Dad, they gotta come on down. I'm like, oh no.
Okay.
So I want to circle back to the vaccine thing. You mentioned that literally 10, 15 minutes before you guys jumped onto this podcast, I was going through the process of enrolling my kids online to the school. They make us do it every single year here in Oregon. And I got to the section where it shows, the immunizations, et cetera, what they've had, what they still need. And I remember last year there was 1 or 2 left for my now 12-year-old daughter. She's entering 7th grade. And there's this one fairly new one. I forget the name of what it is, but I do believe it is like a preventative vaccine for women who are susceptible to ovarian types of cancer.
HPV.
Okay, that's the newest one. And I've done a little bit of research and looked into it. And, I'm no doctor. I do not hold what I say to gospel, but from what I've read, the impossible negative side effects, although slim, way outweigh the risk of down the road of something like that happening. And what I read is some of these effects can be immediate and very severe. And it's not, this is not something that was 5-10 years ago, even on that list. And me and the lady kind of got into it. I says, I'm not sure I want, in fact, I'm not sure. I know 100% for damn sure I don't want baby girl getting that. She hates shots to begin with. And I'm like, I just don't feel it's necessary. I think it's more of a risk. And, you know, what are your thoughts on that? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I
My
safe
thoughts
in
on
my
that are
assumptions?
this. My thoughts on this are when there was a flu shot before COVID came
Mm-hmm.
and you got the flu shot, what happened?
Nothing.
Did you get sick?
No, I
Right
never
after
took
the
the
flu
flu
shot?
shots as in general, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, a lot of
Okay,
people.
so right. So you get the flu shot, you're injecting a virus into your body.
Mhm.
Just like COVID. All these vaccines for COVID and all these booster shots and everything else, if you want to get into that as well, they're killing people. They're injecting the virus into the person. HPV. I know a couple people right now that their daughters are 16 and 17 years old that got the vaccine and that now have HPV, and they're still virgins. They haven't even
That's
had
wild.
intercourse. So if, you know, you're going to say, oh, it's a preventative, this, A, B, C, D. You know what it's about? It's about pharma.
Yep.
Collecting the money. That's all it's about. And with Blaze, after the second round, after it activated the autism in my son, I called the health department and I told the health department, I'm against it. This is what happened to my son. I am not getting my son another vaccine. I don't care. They gave me an exemption, which also you can do this as well for your child. You can contact the health department of your state. I don't know which state you're in right now.
Right.
Right. And you could tell them that it's against your religion, you're against it, you don't believe in it, and you want an exemption for your child.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
they
yeah.
will give you an exemption so you don't have to get that child any more vaccines.
Yeah, we
and that's
do
exactly
actually
what
have that in
and
the
that's what I
actual
did.
signing up. There in the paperwork, we have that option, et cetera, and fill it out. So you know that's what probably. And you know what though, last year, we didn't even do it. And guess who still went to school and we didn't do any of those things. So I'm probably just gonna just let it slide
go.
until I have to end up doing it. But wow, man, that's a crazy, incredible story. 10-year-old Blaze.
Raised, yep.
I'm curious, Mr. Bartlett. Why don't you tell us how you remember meeting this fantastic couple and your background with them?
Zina was a promo model, I believe. I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me that, Zina. But I had just started my clothing line, and we just kind of hooked up online, and we've stayed up with each other. You know, they're down in Florida now, but she hails from New York, and we were up there playing some shows. She actually did a photo shoot or two. She got on stage with Saving Abel. That was pretty cool. And we've stayed up, and you know, I've talked to her the whole time ever since she reconnected with her husband, and they've started businesses. And I would like to hear that story from you, Zina, if that's okay. Just like the abridged version of how you found your way down to Florida and started this business.
Fish tacos were involved. Guarantee it.
How I found my way back to Florida, I was homesick. So I missed my parents. So when I came home, Rich saw that I was in Florida on Facebook and reached out to me. And we've always been friends. We've been friends since I was 17. I'm going to be 50 this year. So he reached out. Yeah, I'm going to be 50.
Let that sink in.
Thank you. And we always were in contact, but either I was always taken or he was always taken, but we always stayed friends. So he had saw that I was back in Florida and contacted me and asked me out on a date. And I had another date that night. So I had told him, I'm sorry, I can't make it. But after, Scott's probably going to laugh, after a couple shots of Fireball, I felt a little frisky and called Rich and said, all right, where are we meeting? So we met at a club, and that was basically it. We never left each other's side. So that was in 2014.
So thank you to Fireball.
Yes.
That might be the best Fireball endorsement ever.
Fireball, you watching?
Yeah, we
Now-
won't mention that Scott's drink of choice is Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniel. Yeah, that's his
She
favorite.
knows. She knows. So I do want to know about everything you guys are doing. Talk to us about this venture. Talk to us about how it got off the ground and where it's going, where it's headed, just the whole thing. Tell us the mission statement. Give us the goods.
Well, do you want to know the reason why first that we're getting into this venture? It's probably a better,
Yeah,
better.
Yes.
absolutely.
So all of it, just you're a grinder, as is Rich, which is what this
Yeah.
podcast is about. Every one of us, I'm sitting here rolling through the hills of Montana trying to be on a podcast. We don't stop, we go. Tell us
That's
the
right.
story with regards to that.
Okay, so let's roll forward to 2016. Rich and I are together. We're not married yet. Blaze was already born though. He started having some pains in his stomach, and we didn't really think anything of it. And he would go to the doctor, and the doctor would say, "Oh, you're a little anemic in your blood work. So why don't you take some over-the-counter iron pills?" So we did exactly what the doctor said. Okay, you're a little more anemic. Let's cut back on the white rice. Let's cut back on the bread, which we ate very clean back then because that's when I was competing. So I was like very, very strict on dieting. Next thing you know, he's having severe pains to where the pain would like travel from his shoulder all the way down the side of his legs to where he would be in fetal position and he wouldn't be able to straighten his legs out, crying. So one thing led to another, and he ran tests and there was nothing. They saw nothing. And this is going 4 years forward now. He's gone through multiple tests. September of 2020, he had COVID for 9 weeks. While he had COVID for 9 weeks, a lump popped out on the side of his neck. He went from 170 pounds down to 120. I basically watched this man in 9 weeks deteriorate in front of me. I mean, he was jacked. He had 10-pack. He was in amazing shape. I literally watched him every day deplete to where the COVID we thought it was the COVID, was eating away his muscle. Finally, I said to him, you know what? You need to go to the hospital because something is very wrong. And he didn't want to go to the hospital then because it was during the pandemic and COVID. So there was nights that he was filling up the bathtub with hot water, the hottest water possible, and basically submerging himself into the bathtub just to be able to get the pain to go away because he was in excruciating pain. He could barely walk, which we were thinking it was the COVID. Finally, one night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard him in the bathtub and I got up and I said, listen, I said, enough is enough. I said, you have a choice. Either you can let me take you to the hospital in the morning, or your little boy is going to see his daddy get wheeled out on a stretcher out of this house. And he looked at me and he said, I will go to the hospital in the morning. So actually, the next morning, I had to basically help him get dressed. He had no strength. His eyes were turning gray. His eyes are blue, but they changed, but his eyes were gray. He was extremely skinny, going down, probably like 120 pounds on that day. I said, let's go and take you to the emergency room. They didn't let me go into the emergency room. I dropped him off. And he called me within 25 minutes later that they were giving him blood transfusions in the emergency room, that they found a 9-centimeter tumor on his pancreas, and that he had cancer. With this, they ran tests and more tests and more tests, but they were not able to do a biopsy on him because he was bleeding, hemorrhaging internally. And they were afraid if they did a biopsy that he would bleed out on the table. They did 9 blood transfusions and 9 transfusions of plasma to see if they can get his blood to clot in order to be able to do a biopsy, and they had no luck. So what they wind up doing is they did a needle biopsy in his abdomen by his pancreas. They did a biopsy, they tested the tissue, and they told him that it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Now, the other doctors, there was multiple doctors saying that he had pancreatic cancer. I had gone into the hospital and said he doesn't have pancreatic cancer. He's got lymphoma. I was basically diagnosing my husband before these doctors were. Next thing you know, they're like, okay, yeah, he's got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, large B cell. He got discharged from the hospital. We brought him home. He rolled right into the oncologist the next day and started chemo. He went through 6 treatments of chemo, 1 every 3rd week. And they finally said to him that he was in remission. So he went into remission, supposedly. 45 days later, he relapsed and the cancer went on top of his brain. So now we tried a different oncologist, and I took him to Moffitt, which they almost killed him. They said, we're going to do a 72-hour round of chemo that he has to be hospitalized for. He's got to be in the hospital for 72 hours. They're going to give him the strongest chemo as possible. It's called cisplatin that kills cancer. So they went ahead and they performed those 2 treatments, the 2 72-hour rounds of chemo. It didn't even phase him. He didn't get sick. He didn't throw up. He was able to function. December 23rd, I get a phone call from the doctor. That was our anniversary, 2 days before Christmas. And they said to me, I just want you to know that we thought it was going to be a success rate with your husband, that your husband's body was going to do very well on this treatment. We were expecting an 80% success rate. The body only accepted 30%. We know it's important for you to have your husband home for Christmas because we know your son is autistic. Merry Christmas. We give your husband 6 months to live. And they hung up on me.
Yeah. Wow.
With this, I went through Christmas and New Year's, which Scott admires me for this because I actually called Scott crying about this.
You did.
And I didn't tell my husband that he had 6 months to live.
What year was this? What December?
This was 2022, I believe. 2022. So, I didn't tell him. I went through Christmas and New Year's, didn't say anything to him. I fell into a completely dark place, dark hole, and I slept all through Christmas and all through New Year's. He didn't know why. He just thought I was like exhausted from all the stress that I was going through. So now rolling forward, I saw that we were in network in 2023 for Sylvester Cancer Institute in Miami. The doctor that I wanted to originally get Rich to, I couldn't because he wasn't in network with our insurance. But it just so happens January 1st of 2023, he was in network with our insurance. So I contacted the doctor and I told them the story. And they said, we're sorry, but unfortunately, we don't have anything available for your husband until March. This was January 2nd, they called. Well, I didn't stop there. I sent blood work. I sent pictures. I sent all the reports that I had. I sent pictures. Rich actually had golf ball sized lumps all over his head. He looked deformed. He had lumps, like literally like size of golf balls all over him, which I have pictures to show you guys if you like to see them. And they basically told me, we're sorry, we can't do anything for you. And then I sent the pictures of the golf ball sized lumps all over him. They called me back within the hour and they said that they showed the doctor all the reports and the pictures. And the doctor told the front desk to move patients around to have Rich down in Miami on January 6th. So I brought him down to Miami January 6th, and the doctor looked at him and they said, now Rich has got a lump in his throat. And it started cutting off the passageway of his breathing. So the doctor said, we got to do a biopsy of the tumor in your throat to confirm that this is what you have, which is non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, large B cell, aggressive stage 4 cancer. So we did. We put him in the hospital the next day. They took the tumor out and they confirmed that it was non-Hodgkin's B cell, large B cell, stage 4. So we go down to meet the doctor, and the doctor says, okay, I'm not going to give you any chemo. Obviously, your body rejected the chemo. And I've always told my husband that I would never use him as a pet for any kind of clinical trial. But at that point, I had no other options. So his name is Dr. Craig Moskowitz. He's the chief of University of Miami Cancer Institute in Miami. He's top 10 in the country. He specializes in lymphoma. That's his specialty. That's all he does. So he said, we have a clinical trial we can offer you. That's your option. Otherwise, we have nothing else to do for you. So I said, where do we sign? And the doctor looked at me and he says, this isn't your body. This is your husband. And I said, but I'm the boss. Sign the papers. And my husband signed the papers. So we went through the clinical trial and he was doing amazing. He had a lot of brain fog, and there was a lot of side effects due to this clinical trial that they did put him on. He was doing amazing for about 2 months. And then one morning he says to me, I don't know, something's weird. I feel vibration in my body when I sit on the couch. And I said, okay, well, let's call Dr. Moskowitz. Called him. They brought him in, emergency PET scan. His whole entire body, his hips, his whole entire spine, his ribs, his pelvis, everything lit up, meaning lit up as a Christmas tree. When a PET scan lights up, it's like a yellow-orange color light, means that the cancer is in that area. His whole entire spine, ribs, pelvis, everything. So now he said, okay, well now you're a great candidate for a CAR T stem cell transplant. So I said, okay, what do we have to do now? You have to meet with the transplant doctor and so forth. We met with the transplant doctor. They said they're going to give it a try. They told us that it would take anywhere from 8 to 6 weeks to get an approval for the CAR T stem cell transplant. I got that approved in 2 weeks. Next thing you know, the doctors were the doctors could not believe that I got the approval in 2 weeks. They put him in the hospital 24 hours before the transplant. They called me and said, you're taking a risk. It's either your husband's going to make it out of the hospital or he's not. Again, I didn't tell Rich that I had that conversation before he went in the hospital. I kept that to myself, which was very hard. So we brought him down, put him in the hospital. He had to stay isolated. So he couldn't have anybody around him, because when they do a transplant, they basically inject the stem cells into you, and then they bring all your levels down to 0. And then they build back up the levels so your body can acclimate to the stem cells. So they went ahead and did that. He didn't really have any side effects. He got up and walked out of the hospital in 10 days on his feet at 116 pounds. They told me that there was a chance that he wouldn't have made it out of the hospital, or he would have been in the hospital for 8, 12, 16 weeks. He could be in there for 6 months because there's all different kinds of complications. He walked out of the hospital at 116 pounds.
Rich,
so after that,
what was Rich thinking there?
Yeah, Rich, that's exactly. What is your mindset through all of this? I mean, the ups, downs. There's got. I mean, at what point did you ever feel like giving up? I mean, what was? No.
The highs are the highest, the lows are the lowest. But when you have kids and whatever, because I do have another second daughter. She's 23 from a previous marriage. You have a lot to live for, including my wife. But you just honestly, it's mental. It's a mental thing. I've never been one of those people who backs down. I've always been like, okay, what's next? How do we address it? I've also never said a lot of people like, oh, I can't believe it's happening to me. Well, who do you expect it to happen to? Someone else. So I've always been like, my model's always been like, well, I can't believe it's happening to me, considering I took care of myself. I ate right. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I do everything that I thought I should do. So yeah, there was never any moment that I felt. I mean, there's more times that probably Zina would cry before I would, because, you know, she's watching it, but, you know, I never had a doubt. It's like push, 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 you know, like the main thing is like, man, you must have had a strong mental state. Like you have to be like, you know, I have a lot to live for. At that time, I was like, okay, so I just turned 58. So let's see, Florida, you know, I was just a tad bit over the 50 mark. And I'm like, there's no way. And there's no way I'm going to quit. So, you know, the doctors always said, you listen, it's, you know, we're not promising anything, but so she would always be like, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I'm like, we just push on to the next thing we got to do. It's just what you have to do, because what's most important in this situation is you have to mentally be like sound. You got to be mentally strong, because if you give anything of your body any reason to feel like there's a doubt, what happens? It just like kind of decompresses your thoughts. It makes you feel like depressed. Honestly, in the 4 total years I fought, and it's only because at one point I realized that I was actually allergic to Zofran, which is something that's supposed to pump through and keep me from getting sick. I was actually allergic to it. But what I'm getting at is, in the 4 years or that I was down and out, from hospitals to visits to scans, this and that, I slept like maybe twice, because I felt like if I slept, it was going to, you know, the disease was defeating me, and I wasn't going to have that happen. So I just kind of pushed through the grind. But that's who I am. I mean, did I ever have doubts? I never had doubts. You doubt situations, but at the same time, I never doubted the system. You know, I think the main thing that I had working for me in my mindset is when they at first thought like, oh my God, pancreatic cancer, you know, tumor on my pancreas. And then once I knew I had, you know, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, I basically said, oh, well, that's the lesser of the evils. Oh boy, was I like in a surprise, because my doctor wound up telling me, you know, although I was the trickiest and hardest patient he's ever had, my outcome has had the best results. And the best results is going to be why we're going to get into the next thing that I'm sure we're going to talk about, of why we're doing this wellness center.
So
that led to Reinvent, right?
well, that didn't lead to Reinvent.
Oh,
So
okay.
after he had the transplant, the prednisone and all the chemo bags that they had given him throughout the years deteriorated his whole entire hip bone. This man was walking around on cartilage and tendons. The doctor came out and said to me, how is your husband walking? There is no bone. When I tell you there was a shadow in the image, there was no bone. The doctor was amazed. 2 hours later, they bring him upstairs. This man got up after 2 hours and started walking down the hallway with no pain meds. So 2 months ago, he's obviously doing great. It's been over a year. 2 months ago, we went to Dr. Moskowitz for his 2.5-year PET scan. So the doctor, we go in and we start talking to him, and he says, you're good. The first thing he walks in, he's like, you're good. He's like, but I got to tell you something. Whatever you guys are doing is amazing. Do you know why? And I'm looking at Dr. Moskowitz because we got like a flirtatious relationship, because he knew I was in it to win it and I wasn't backing down. And he says to me, usually when my patients get a CAR T stem cell transplant, they don't make it up to the 2-year mark without a relapse. Rich is at 2.5 years. And I looked at Dr. Moskowitz and I said, because he didn't change anything that he's been doing. See, the thing is with people that have cancer is when they go into remission, they think that they can go back and do everything that they used to do. Number one, he doesn't eat any sugar. Number two, there's no processed foods. And all the chemicals now, all the foods have, the ingredients used to be like this when I was a little girl. Now the ingredients label is like this, because it's all chemicals and they want to kill us. So this is where the wellness center comes into play. So we want to be able to teach people about gut health and the preventative measures to not be sick like my husband was.
Not just with cancer.
And not just with cancer, with anything, you know. strokes, diabetes, blood clots, anything to rejuvenate your youth. There's all kinds of things out there now that you can do it, and you can do it naturally.
That's
But I'll tell you what, these doctors, they don't care. The only thing that they care about is the money. And it's not the chemo it's not the cancer that's gonna kill you. It's the chemo
The radiation.
or the radiation.
So we can tell by your story and your direction, the way that you're going, and you haven't utilized this term yet, but it's quite obvious that you're a life coach, right? So I mean, is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Do you do that remotely for other people outside of Florida, or is it specific to your location there?
I am actually going to start doing cancer advocating. And I have a lot of people actually, because we were all over social media. My story was all over social media. I actually have a lot of people that do contact me now that do have cancer. I have this one gentleman that just contacted me a couple months ago. He had cancer in 7 areas of his body. And he asked me, can you help me? And I said, absolutely. And I told him what to do. And 2 months later, he called me a couple weeks ago and said, I have to call and thank you and give you the great news. I went from having cancer in 7 areas of my body to having cancer in 1 area of my body now.
Well, not bad. Let's get rid of that last one.
Yes, we're working on it.
So, in talking to Nick earlier, and you may have already done so, but I just want to make sure, there apparently was a very big announcement coming from you guys today. Has that happened yet?
Big announcement?
No, that's news to you.
The big
Okay.
announcement.
Well, yeah, no, I was talking to Nick,
Uh-huh.
before a podcast, and I always say, who's on, what's going on. I try to get a little detail exactly, and
I think where you're going, I think I know where you're going with this.
and it says, okay, what is it?
Crunch Fitness.
And they are making a huge announcement on the podcast. That's all I got.
What I did yesterday was Crunch
Wait.
Fitness.
Is this the announcement?
I think, yeah, probably.
Drum roll, please,
Well,
party people. Zina.
Where did Scott go? We lost Scott.
We lost Scott and we lost
And
Nick.
Nick.
I don't know. There's something wrong with the internet. Obviously, Scott's walking through the hills in Montana. So I'm not sure what happened to Nick. Maybe a faulty connection on there. I texted him. So, we're out of the case. You've got the 2 best guys on here still
We're
anyway.
good. We're
So-
good. So the big announcement is that we just opened a month ago. It's called ReinventU Wellness. It's in Coral Springs. It's inside a gym called Athletica.
Right.
We're in the lobby. So the issue is that this gym has 11,000 members, but nobody on the outside knows where we are because we're inside a gym. We're just now starting our social media and our marketing. So what I did yesterday was I decided to go directly across the street. There's a Crunch Fitness. Are you guys familiar with Crunch Fitness?
Yep. I've heard of it.
So I walked in and I said, I'm a little timid about this conversation, but I'm going to throw it at you. Here's my card. My name is Zina. I just opened up a wellness center, ReinventU Wellness. We're located in Athletica across the street in the lobby. I said, I would like to do some promotions for your clients. We're offering a free hydration or a free B12 shot to all your clients. They looked at me and they said, let's do it. They signed me up with 8 Crunch Fitnesses.
Oh, right on.
Yes.
Very nice.
Fantastic. Well, hey, and if there's any marketing or social or online help that you may need in the future, I know a guy.
I think I know a guy too.
Jesse, I'm hoping you're on that side of your screen.
Well,
Okay,
yeah, I'm not sure. So it's
Could be over there. He could even be there or possibly up there, but Jesse, yeah, that guy right over there. Anyway,
Oh.
that's amazing. Congratulations. So,
Thank
I mean,
you.
man, your story is so inspiring. I mean, you fought, you battled. Not only did, you, Rich, you had to go through it, but Zina, it's like you wouldn't let him fail. You grinded so hard and fought
Never.
for him and for you and for the family. And what this is look at what it's turned into. Now you're fighting for other
Everybody else.
Americans.
And it
other
starts with a
people.
love story. So it's the ultimate
Yeah.
love story, right? So you as a partner, you had two different options, two different sides. You could have bounced, right? Could have
Yes.
said, nope, this is too much for me. Or you could have dug your heels in and said, bullshit, here we freaking go. And so
we've seen a lot of that. We've seen, loved ones bounce like a bad habit,
right.
and it's disheartening.
Yeah, I'm inspired.
Thank you.
It's an incredible story.
You guys, I just got a text from Scott. It said, sorry, lost my connection. I figured that was a good place for me to bow out since we're switching topics. Please tell Zina and Rich they're warriors, and I'm proud to call them friends. So that was
I love Scott. Scott's awesome.
amazing. So where can anyone and everyone who is interested in not only your story, but reinvent and all that go? I'm assuming you have a website or social media.
Yes. So my website is www.reinventu, Reinvent, the letter U, coralsprings.com. ReinventU Wellness, coralsprings.com. That's our website.
Mouthful. ReinventU Wellness, coralsprings.com.
Yes.
Was Reinvent University taken? I mean, that was
Well, reinvent you. It's a perfect word. Listen,
Right.
reinvent you. Like when you have a CAR T stem cell transplant,
Yeah.
they say it's like you're born again. So he's reinvented,
Like reborn,
reborn,
reinvent.
reinvent.
I love it. Now,
we can definitely help you get a shorter domain if you're interested.
No, we'll keep this.
Go.
And then my Instagram page is ReinventU_wellness.
that is amazing. Now, let's get a little more personal now. Now, I have to throw out there, this podcast that we're on right now was actually stemmed from the success of a previous podcast that we still do. Haven't done much of it lately, but it's called Dadcast, and we focused on, a couple of dads, Jesse included. We talked to other celebrity dads about being dads, et cetera, et cetera. And I still can't help when there's children involved in the podcast. I want to dive into a little bit of that. So this question involves Blaze and you guys. So obviously this battle, this what you went through is not too terribly long. It's it's still kind of ongoing, but the thick of it was a couple of years ago, which would put Blaze at 7 or 8 years old. How was it being the mom duty on top of all the other things, and how did Blaze get through this? I mean, how did you navigate that? Because I just have a hard time trying to get my friggin' kids to do the dishes. You are doing all these things.
And homeschool and COVID and running 2 businesses and building a new house.
Cha-ching, 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 grind. Got you. Yeah.
Yeah, you fit the mold.
I ran on adrenaline, and Blaze was actually my partner that we kept Daddy strong together. And he will tell you, Blaze, come here. Come here. I want you to tell these guys what Daddy is to you. Come here.
JP, her biceps are better than ours, brother.
I'd still take the bet that I'd beat her in arm wrestling. Just saying.
You got to see this kid's biceps. Make a muscle.
Yeah. Yes.
Look at that. So what is Daddy to you? Daddy is your what?
My champion.
And what did you do when Daddy was sick? You did what? You did something for Daddy.
She's very strong.
Very nice.
He did get strong. You want to see my little warrior, Blaze? You
Yeah.
want to meet? This is 10-year-old Blaze. That's his parents. This is my baby girl, Avery, who's...
Hi.
Get close there.
Hi. How are
Yeah.
you?
I'm good.
Hey,
You know,
Bruce, nice to see
her,
you.
I'm not going to let you get shots. Just we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No shots.
What I think that this is a story that we would like to continue. Would you guys be up to a part 2 and get an update on Rich and how the business adventures are going in 3 to 4 months?
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I'm really glad that we got to meet you and share our story with you.
Absolutely. we
Because,
need more
you know,
time.
Yes. And, are we still in the air?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's so many people out there that are sick with cancer right now that they're just listening to these doctors, and these doctors are just going to kill everybody.
They're never going to come up with the cure. They're just putting a Band-Aid on everything.
There is a cure. There is a cure.
Get into that next time.
We can talk about that next time.
Yes, absolutely. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We're going to do this again. We're going to dive deeper. We're going to have Nick on for the whole time. We're going to get that thing way better and right next time we're on. Jesse, you got anything?
I am good. Thank you guys so much for your time today.
Thank
And Rich.
you. Nice meeting you guys.
Man, I mean,
Yeah, Rich, keep kicking ass, dude.
seriously.
Absolutely inspiring, man. This is a great podcast. So we appreciate you guys' time and your story. And thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Hey, we are Grind Lifestyle. Thank you again for tuning in. Make sure you check out those lovely people's socials. You can find them in the description. I am Jesse Dugas. That is JP Pierce. We are Grind Lifestyle. Until next week, we're out.